How's it going, Turning Point? Amazing. Kimberly, thank you very much. Guys, do yourselves a favor. Get yourself a Kimberly. Okay? She is a rock. She's gotten me through a rather rough week, as you may have heard. My mother passed last week, and that would normally be really hard to be at a place like this right now and try to have some energy. So if I'm like low energy Jeb, I hope you guys will forgive me. You'll let it slide this once if I'm not my normal, charming, somewhat vicious self. Love you guys too. But I'm here because it matters, and because I know my mom would want me to be here, because the reason I got political young was because she escaped from communism. And I see where this country is going. I see where our leaders, and I'll use that term in air quotes because, I mean, give me a freaking break already, right? These guys couldn't lead anything. But because our leaders are taking us down that path. My mom was so strong and felt so strongly about that, she literally shipped me to communist Czechoslovakia in the 80s for like 6 weeks every summer so that I could see with my own eyes what that shit was like. And I promise you guys, if you're gonna wait in line for something, it's better to wait in line for an iPhone than it is for a loaf of bread. I've waited in those lines. I've seen what that system does to smart, hardworking, good people, how it just zaps all the incentive out of them. I lived it. My first real experience of fear, I remember, was the first time I went over there. My grandfather's picking me up at the airport. I land, I'm like 6 years old. And I got pulled out of line by a soldier in, you know, that drab, like olive green communist uniform with an AK over his shoulder, because I was wearing a jean jacket with stars on it. Now, I was like 6, and this is the 80s. Okay, so forgive me, but it was cool at the time. And I was questioned as to whether I was there to spread the communist or the imperialist American propaganda. I was 6. I had no idea what any of this meant. But I understood very quickly what oppression was all about. And when you look at what's going on in America right now, you have to ask yourself the same questions. Like, questions like, if you were trying to destroy America and everything that it stands for, would you do anything differently than what this administration is doing? Not a thing, right? I mean, think about it, right? You wouldn't do a thing differently. It's not like, hey, they made a couple bad decisions, let's try to reverse them. No, we have the bad decisions. Cutting off American energy independence, what's the solution? Drill, baby, drill. Right? We have it here. It's not a bad decision at a border. Hundreds of thousands of people on a monthly basis getting stranded, creating a humanitarian crisis, a child sex trafficking crisis, a drug trafficking crisis with a fentanyl scourge killing our children. What would we do? Seems like it'd be such a simple answer. Like, I don't know, maybe finish the wall. Right? Like, it's not rocket science. There's a solution. And yet, what are they doing? Nothing, right? So energy could easily be fixed. They don't want to do it. And they're not even hiding the reason. They're trying to instill their new liberal world order. Right? It's a small price to pay. No. It's a small price for them to pay because nothing's going to happen, right? Joe Biden will still let Hunter make billions on the side. Nancy Pelosi will still insider trade so she can make up whatever difference it is. It's not a small price to pay for you. Whether it's at the gas pump, whether it's on grocery store shelves, it's not a small price to pay for you. And I know that because if I'm pissed off when I'm filling my truck as the son of a billionaire, hey, it is what it is, right? Like, if that pisses me off, if I feel it, everyone feels it, guys. You can't hide it anymore. So, energy could be fixed. The border could be fixed, right? Like, literally, for like a small fraction of the like $60 billion we've sent to the Ukraine, we could have built the wall. But we don't care about Americans. We don't care about an invasion on our border. We don't care about the tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of people killed through drug trafficking. We don't care about the people who are sexually assaulted along the way. Well, let's send a bunch of corrupt Ukrainian officials, billions. Doesn't matter. There is no amount of money that our politicians won't send them. You see it every day. And even the Rhino Republicans, folks, right? This is a totally bipartisan level of incompetence, grift, and graft. Right? You saw a couple of weeks ago, you had the Ukrainian minister's wife. She was caught crossing the border. I guess it was either into Hungary or Romania. Right? With roller bags. Roller bags filled with $17 million in U.S. cash. How do you think that happens, folks? I don't know. She probably worked a side job really hard. Maybe she has an OnlyFans account. You never know, folks. But I'm sure in the Ukraine, the average salary for the wife of a minister ain't 17 million U.S. cash that she kept under her mattress and wheeled out across a border. That's your money, folks. And they're blowing it every day. We see examples like this on a daily basis. Right? Like the, what was it, 86 billion we left to the Taliban. Right? 86 billion to the Taliban. Just so you understand what that means. At about 300 million and change Americans, it's $300 approximately for every man, woman, and child in this country. You left $300 to the Taliban. I'm sure they'll use our weapons to peacefully rule over Afghanistan for the coming decades, right? There won't be people maimed, oppressed, killed, right? They've turned over a new leaf. The Taliban, a terrorist organization who we were at war with for 20 years, we left them, what was it, like 70,000 M4 fully automatic machine guns? Now, they don't want you, as an American citizen, to have an AR-15, a semi-automatic weapon. They don't know the difference, but they're still making rules around these things, right? But the Taliban can have 70,000 fully automatic M4s. They can have Apache helicopters, folks. Think about it. This is the people in America who are making decisions. They're okay with this. They don't think about how many tens of thousands of people will be killed, maimed, oppressed by a terrorist regime. Our generals testified before Congress that they, quote, could not have seen this coming. Really? I saw it coming. I saw it coming, and let's just say I know jack shit about Afghanistan. When that was all going on that week, I was picking up my 9-year-old son. We were going to like a father-son dinner we do every week, and I was picking him up at school, and we were talking. He's literally asking, he's 9 years old. Hey, Dad, Why would they leave all those weapons to the Taliban? I don't understand. And I felt like an idiot because I'm sitting there being like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's like, but Dad, you know all this stuff. Like, I was like, yeah, it's hard to explain stupidity to a 9-year-old, right? Because it's so clear to him. Hey, Dad, why would they pull out? Why would they pull out the military before the civilians, Dad? I don't understand. It's like, I don't either. Hey, Dad, how come the general said they couldn't have seen this coming? Haven't they been doing, like, I don't know, general shit for the last 20 years? Like, where maybe they should have seen it coming? Yes, son. Yes, they probably should have seen it coming. You know who saw it coming? Everybody! Everybody saw it coming. But the military spends too much time making sure that everyone understands the 9,476 pronouns. And there's probably been a couple added in like the 7 minutes that I've been speaking. No one knows what the hell they are. No one can even care. The foremost experts in this shit have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They're just making it up as they go along. But they're teaching that. I have a buddy, I won't mention which team, but he was literally in the SEAL teams, and he told me they spend more time on diversity and inclusion training than they do shooting. I don't know about you folks. I love my trigger time, but I really, really, really like it when my SEAL friends have trigger time so that they can kill the bad guys that want to kill us. Not a great way to win battles when you're asking they, them, and figuring out what the hell they're talking about on the battlefield. This is, like, we're the laughing stock of the world with this stuff, right? You guys saw it, right? It doesn't just end there with the incompetence. You saw that. Remember the Army recruitment video? You guys remember that? Well, there's two good ones. There's the Army recruitment one, and then the one that was actually maybe even worse was the CIA one, right? The Army recruitment one, it looks like you're recruiting a Disney princess, right? It was like, it started off with a girl with 2 moms. Like, no one cares. Like, what does that have to do with the Army? Like, no one cares, I can assure you. But they're trying so hard. The one that really got me was the CIA recruitment video, because I can assure you that this is not someone that you'd want on the front lines of the defense of this nation. Remember that guy? I have extreme anxiety. I'm like, this guy will break in 2 seconds when questioned by the Chinese. Like, the over-under is 2 seconds. I'm taking the under. He's just going to give, like, they allowed me to play games, and they were incredibly welcoming. I'm like, this is your recruitment video? Like, I'm like, what are you recruiting for? Like, you wonder if they're being punked, right? Like, I'm waiting for, like, Ashton Kutcher to jump out of a cake and be like, I'm just kidding, guys. Like, it's all been one big joke. Right? You remember, we were talking about the generals in Afghanistan. And then you saw the State Department, because I've been told that the adults are back in charge at the White House, right? And at State Department, the adults are back in charge, right? Doesn't seem to be working out all that well, but that's just me. I am biased, but I can also see. The adults are so back in charge that when testifying, Secretary of State Blinken got up on a world stage. And when questioned about the Taliban, he said, and I quote, he is shocked and dismayed that the Taliban did not install a more diverse and inclusive government in Afghanistan. I'm like, wait a minute. I can understand if you're dismayed. I mean, everyone has hopes. Everyone has dreams. You may be dismayed. Like, you're really shocked? Did you think, like, I don't know, that maybe the women and children that they've put into sexual slavery over the last few decades, did you think they were going to have a big seat at the table? Do you think maybe that, the gay people that they've thrown off buildings and filmed and videoed and put gleefully all over the internet, do you think that they would have a strong seat at the table? Secretary Blinken, did you think that there'd be a huge trans coalition, since that's all the rage these days? Did you think the Taliban would have a big coalition of that? Shocked? I don't know. I'm not shocked. I'm shocked at how freaking stupid these people are. I'm shocked that we allow them to get away with it. But I'm not shocked at the way they're acting. They're doing what they do. We're pretending to live in a world that does not exist. You see it day in and day out. You see it with the lies that they're pushing on you. You see it with the attacks on conservatives. You see it in the censorship each and every day. But that's why it's awesome to be in crowds like this, in groups like this, right? You guys are now, you would have never said this about conservatives in like history. You guys are actually the rebels. You're not buying the narrative. You're not believing the nonsense. You're fighting against the man. Each and every day. And it's an honor for me to be in that fight with you guys. Honestly, it's another one of the big reasons why I do this. Part of it, like I said earlier, it started out in my youth. I saw the other side, right? You notice how, like, there's never, like, someone who's actually lived in real socialism actually advocating for it. Meaning, if these systems are so freaking wonderful, you'd think there'd be, like, all these people. I don't know, like, we're in Florida. How about, like, are there a lot of Cubans? Are they wait. Are you advocating for socialism? Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, like Venezuelans. Are you advocating for No, none of those communities are. Because they've seen it. They've seen what it does. I mean, whether it was Cuba, whether it was Venezuela more recently, I mean, these were thriving countries until we implemented these systems that zap all of that. It does. It's failed every time they've tried to implement it. You know who benefits from it? The elite. Like I said, guys, hey, I can assure you, for me, in my life, it would have been a whole lot easier and more lucrative to sit down and shut up, to not get in this fight, to not be engaged, okay, to not do anything, for my father, even if he did, whatever it may have been. It would have been much easier. But you can't do it. You have to actually stand up and fight, which is why you guys are so important, right? This is about you. This is about your future. The youth of this country, you're the guys that are going to inherit this mess, right? I'm happy to help lead this charge, but you guys are going to have to take over. And again, we're not in a fair fight if you haven't been watching, folks, right? We're not in a fair fight. You've seen it. Who here has been in, like, social media prison? Yeah. Have you ever noticed it only goes one way? Yeah, like, I'm getting like 10,000 likes a post from like 300,000 like a couple of months ago because they don't like me right now. If you're effective, they're going to suppress you. We are working that much harder. Now, if you're a crazy radical leftist, you're pushing the nonsense that they're pushing, they boost your platform, they'll give you whatever you want, it doesn't matter. And yet, what's interesting is, if you look at the numbers, if you look at polling, if you look at new signups to parties, we're still winning. Because the good thing about what's going on right now, and maybe the only good thing, is that people are finally seeing through the nonsense. It's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad that you can't cover it up anymore. The left has literally $1 trillion marketing team in the mainstream media. They have $1 trillion booster program from big tech. working to suppress you, Google search, inboxing in mailboxes, right? Beyond the censorship on social. You have the free advertising in regular television, in entertainment, right? You have, it doesn't end. We're up against 3, 4, 5 multi-trillion-dollar enterprises who literally are functioning as the marketing team of the other side, and yet things are still close, or were, and now they're actually leaning our way. You know why that is? Because we're right. And the good thing about Sleepy Joe is he's dumb enough to sign all the crap that they're putting in front of him. Now, that sucks for us right now, right? There's no difference between Joe and Obama and what their desires were. The difference is Obama was smart enough to try to preserve his reputation. He wouldn't do all of the things at once. They're happy to have Joe in there because he doesn't know where he is. Come on, you know he doesn't know where he is. So they're like, you know what? The leftists that are running, he'll sign it. We'll tank his reputation. It doesn't matter. We'll implement it. Remember the liberal world order. They're not even hiding it anymore. Right? So they put it in front. But what's nice about it, and the only thing, again, that's nice is it's gotten so bad, those $3 trillion enterprises can no longer hide it from us because we see it each and every day. Right? It's like, imagine if you will, imagine if it was the Don Jr. laptop from hell. You think you'd hear about it? How about if I did like one? I was trending yesterday on Twitter. I don't even know why, because I don't even care anymore. I don't look, but apparently I did something really bad that it was misinformation, it was disinformation, it was fake news, it was everything. Help them get elected, whatever it was. Now it's real. Oh, wonderful. Oh, now it doesn't matter once they get what they want. That's what they do every day, whether it's the censorship, whether it's that. Because I have a feeling that if I was talking to hookers while smoking crack and telling them that the Russian mob had my laptop, I imagine it would be a problem. I imagine the media would not give me the benefit of the doubt. Remember, folks, the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth, it used to be about 6 months, right? Was there anything, all the things we've been talking about, has there been one that we were wrong about in the end? Meaning, we were told we were wrong, we were canceled. If you were a doctor and you questioned Clown Fauci, you were thrown out of the medical profession. Any one of those things. Turns out they were right. It doesn't matter. We got what we wanted. Let's move on. The difference is now it's like 6 minutes, right? Between what you're labeled conspiracy theory turns out to be the truth. They can't hide it anymore because it's compounding so badly. It just doesn't stop. And we're going to see this more, right? We're either going to have a midterm variant, obviously, right? So they can implement whatever they need to do, fraudulent voting and whatever it may be. Or you're seeing, you guys are seeing it, you know it's coming, the monkeypox pandemic, folks. Monkeypox, it's very scary. The World Health Organization. Oh, I know. They just declared it a major concern. Now, I don't know about you, but and I won't even say it here because no matter what I say, I will be criticized. But if you look at how you can get it, I mean, I don't know. Seems like it'd be rather easily avoidable unless you're Hunter Biden. I don't know. If you're not showing up at a truck stop somewhere, doing some random stuff with, this seems like it'd be easily avoidable. But I think what we know it is all about It's about control. They want to control you. The way they do that is with fear. They create the fear, they impose their rules, and unfortunately, many of us went along with this blindly. That was perhaps the scariest thing of the last 2 years that I saw. How many people truly bought into the gospel, even with statistics present, right? That's what was crazy about it. You could show them actual numbers and it didn't matter. You could show them real scientific data and it didn't matter. They were fine, giving up their freedoms, their liberties, their rights. And when you've been watching as long as I have, you start seeing these patterns, folks. Right? You're paying attention. The one thing I saw was that the government was really quick to want to take our rights. They were not so quick to ever want to give them back. And it's why we do have to be here fighting for our rights. Because once they are gone, they don't come back. You see it each and every day. Right? There hasn't been consequences to incompetent politicians. There haven't been consequences to incompetence in government. There hasn't been consequences to failure. The media is still telling you Joe Biden's doing a great job. The same guy that, like, had to be corralled by the Easter Bunny. Remember that one? Like, I mean, think about it. The leader of the free world at Easter had to be corralled by the Easter Bunny, was ushering him around. Like, remember that one? Like, he's so there that they needed a guy in a comm suit in an Easter Bunny outfit to corral him, to make sure that he couldn't speak to, like, the Democrat donors that show up to the White House egg roll at Easter. Think of how scary that is. Then remember the handshake to nowhere? The handshake to nowhere, folks. It was clear the guy had no idea where he was. That look was fear. No, guys, that's what fear looks like. He had no idea. Whatever meds they jack him up on before they give him, it's not like he does a good job anyway, right? Like, I don't know. Like, it's not that hard. Like, they give him a teleprompter and he's still, pause for applause. Repeat the line. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, stop putting it in the prompter. He's like Ron Burgundy. He'll read whatever you put there. Just don't give him any other direction. This is the guy that we're going to call when China sends nukes into the air. Just make sure not to put it in the prompter. This is not instill confidence, right? But I called him out on the handshake to nowhere, and I was fact-checked. He was pointing, and I quote, to the crowd with an open palm. I was like, I called the fact checkers. Guy fight all this shit because you can't let him get away with it, right? You gotta push back. I was like, really? Like, show me another instance of anyone pointing to the crowd with, what is he, Frank the Tank? Like, he was looking behind him. He had no idea where he was, and it was clear. The crap they jacked him up with to make sure he looked at least somewhat coherent for a few seconds, like it had worn off. It was nappy time. It's been nappy time for a long time for this clown, but like, it was, and I was fact-checked for it. They're literally running cover for this. Remember when Trump walked down a ramp, and it was like raining and slippery, so he held onto the banister, and it was like, he's in the later stages of dementia and Alzheimer's combined. He is literally about to drop dead. Oh my God, 25th Amendment. Joe Biden would be like, it's great to be here in the wonderful state of Alaska. Pause for applause. Try not to drop dead. And they're like, this is wonderful. He is an orator unlike any other. Not since Lincoln. Not since Lincoln has there been someone as competent behind the microphone as Joe Biden. I'm like, I don't know. He was on a teleprompter for 3.5 seconds, and he screwed up like 9 times. You'd think after 476 years in politics, he would be able to do it. It's not that hard. I can assure you, folks, it's not that hard. I don't know. I've been up here for what, like a half an hour? Like, I don't have notes. I don't have cards. I don't know. It's not rocket science. Like, you've been doing this shit your whole life. Just. And yet, everything seems pretty hard for Joe. Now, we do hope he gets better for obvious reasons, namely that Kamala Harris is in the wings. I mean, imagine that one. We must get together because togetherness is part of being together. Together, we can overcome together. Like, I've never seen, like, she can do like a half an hour and like, there's like 3 words. No, it's like, I don't know whether to be like upset or impressed. You know? It's like the crazy crap that Hillary was saying last week. She was like, yeah, that's perfect, here. Kamala was your speechwriter. But like, that's next. And the only thing scarier, again, than perhaps Joe Biden would be Kamala Harris, because as incompetent as she is, she probably doesn't need a nap as much as Joe, which is just time that he can't make things worse. Like, nap time is great, folks. We should all encourage nap time with Joe Biden. Because if he's napping, he can't make things worse. And that's the reality, folks. Each and every day, it's getting worse. You see it with inflation. You see it with what's going on in gas prices. You now see the adjustment in interest rates. People in this country are going to get crushed. They're going to get crushed. And again, I can make fun of Joe Biden because, let's face it, he's an easy target, and I have some time to kill. But this isn't Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not capable of making these decisions or enacting actual policy. This is what you are experiencing today is Democrat policy in action. They are actually doing all of the things they said they would do. Just the results aren't what they said they would be. They are implementing Democrat policy, whether it be energy, under the guise of environmentalism, whether it's from a foreign policy standpoint, whether it's from a business standpoint. This is Democrat policy. You're living it. And the problem with it is, it's only just begun to get bad. And you know what's even worse? All they had to do was leave it alone. Leave alone what my father created. That's all they had to do. Sit back, enjoy the ride, don't screw it up. But like I started off with, there's not a single thing that any of you or anyone with a brain would do differently than the Democrats are doing today if you were trying to destroy America. And that's what they're doing. They're saying it out loud at this point. They don't even feel like they have to hide it anymore. We're living in a two-tiered world, folks. A two-tiered system of government, two-tiered system of consequence. You see what happens to, whether it's a January 6th peaceful protester or Steve Bannon versus Hunter or anyone else on the radical left. It's totally different. which is why we need to push back. It's why we need to band together. It's why we must be unafraid. Because I get it, folks. I understand that there are consequences to being a conservative. I understand there are more consequences to being a vocal conservative. And I sure as hell understand there are severe consequences to being a vocal, Trump-supporting, America First conservative. But I've also seen that those policies actually work. What's most impressive, perhaps, about what my father was able to accomplish for America is that he created that prosperity. He created energy independence. He did peace deals in the Middle East. All the things that were the holy grail of politics. He actually did them. And he did it without any help from Democrats, the most hostile ever. Multiple impeachments, without any help from the media. That was over. And honestly, with very little help from the Republican establishment themselves, who you'd think would be all on board. But they weren't, because it was about power. That's why you need people like that to actually run for office. People who don't need the job. People whose turn it's not, right? You see Hillary warming up. She's chomping at the bit. What could go wrong? So that's why we do this, folks. That's why I'm here today. That's why I will continue to fight. And it's for you. It's for us. It's for our Constitution. It's for our freedoms. And most importantly, it's for our children, so that we leave them a country that we recognize, a country that we love. So guys, thank you for being here. Turning Point, thank you for all you do. All you young guys out there, thank you for being in the fight. It's an honor to be in it with all of you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.